Obtaining 10x rewards. Reincarnated into a novel as a side character. By winterdragon_1. Chapter 1. So big. A girl exclaimed in shock as she saw the spectacle in front of her. Curious, her friends rushed over to see what had caught her attention. To their surprise, she was pointing at an enormous pizza, fresh out of the oven and covered in an outrageous amount of toppings. It was a pizza so big that it could easily feed the entire group. In the group of friends was a guy named Finn, who was also speechlessly looking at her. They were initially in the living room enjoying some music when they heard her. Considering their age, they all shared some dirty thoughts when they heard her words. They were here for the Christmas party, and it wouldn't be surprising if their friend was doing something suspicious in the kitchen alone. Fortunately, it was not the case, or the remaining party would have become awkward. Finn was also relieved. He, along with others, returned to the living room, and the party resumed again. They enjoyed the food and drinks, with some music. The party was soon over. One by one, everyone started leaving. It was snowing outside, and Finn had brought his umbrella along. With a final goodbye to others, he also left. He was quite satisfied and full. It had been a great time for him. The scenery was also beautiful with all sorts of colorful lights around. People were still out and partying even at late night, so the streets were lively. It's snowing a lot. Exhaling slightly, he thought. For some reason, the street lights were flickering a lot as he went by. It was quite dark and lights were flickering, but he still continued walking. He predicted that the snow won't be stopping anytime soon and it was better to reach home as early as possible. Swish! He heard some rustling sounds as he crossed the dark road. Narrowing his eyes, he looked over and in that instant, his life flashed before his eyes as a massive truck sped towards him. The driver was out for some reason, maybe alcohol or something. A terrible carelessness. Unfortunately, Finn soon suffered the consequences of the driver's inappropriate action as the truck rammed into him. A moment of pain before it all blacked out for him. I died. Fuck. He was shocked beyond belief. At the moment, he was unable to see anything or feel anything. It was as if he was nothing more than a ball of consciousness. He was unexpectedly calm, which scared him. Usually, he should be panicking at the moment or even wailing in pain, but he was unable to feel any intense emotions. Such calmness scared him, but he was unable to do anything at all. Suddenly, he felt as if something was tugging at him. Initially, he didn't feel much, but soon the tug became stronger and stronger. It was as if someone was yanking him, trying to pull him somewhere. And with such strong force, he had no choice but to be pulled wherever he was being taken to. In a dimly lit room. Cries of a baby were the only sound that could be heard in the room. The room was simple, open space with straw mat flooring. Sliding doors made of paper screens separated the room from the outside. Inside, low wooden tables were placed on the floor, surrounded by cushions for seating. The room was well lit with soft, natural light filtering through the thin screens. Pants of a woman echoed throughout the empty room. After all, the woman had just given birth. Murmurs of midwives filled the room as they shuffled around, tending to the woman and the baby. The cries of the baby slowly ceased as the infant opened his small eyes, the world before him blurry, getting used to the light. Huh. Did I reincarnate? The baby thought, an expression of curiosity mixed with shock on his tender face. He was an avid reader of fantasy novels. He was familiar with this kind of setting too. He was just surprised that this fantasy of his turned into a reality. He could not help but remember his family back in the previous life, and felt quite uncomfortable in his heart. He was keenly aware that he won't be able to meet them again, and this saddened him greatly. They might be in too much of a shock. He pondered, his mind going to his caring mother who was always worried about him. Truth to be told, he was a disabled person and had some vision problems. But thanks to God's grace, it was not too hard on him and he could still perform daily tasks. It was also because of this that he had to strain himself to spot the incoming truck in the night. I hope they don't feel sad too much. I would like to let them know that I am quite fine here. He decided to not think much on this matter for now. Although he was sad, he also was excited about this scenario. He no longer felt his vision problems, and this was a new world that he wanted to experience. He looked around the room and felt that this room resembled the old Japanese design. As he was scanning his surroundings, his gaze fell on a designated alcove showcasing a piece of artwork. For some reason, he felt that the symbol etched on the wall behind was quite familiar. Before he could think of anything more, he felt himself being lifted by the midwives and handed to a woman lying on a bed. He observed her features and felt a chill. The woman before him had short ashen-gray hair with a pair of piercing silver moon eyes. She had a gorgeous face, with soft-looking pink lips and a button nose. But her expression at the moment was nonchalant and her gaze was cold as ice. He felt her eyes scanning him as if he was an object whose worth was being measured at the moment. He didn't know why, but he felt her eyes become colder and colder as seconds passed by. His heart stirred at the sight. Although he felt a feeling of déjà vu when looking at her for some reason, but at the moment, he did not think much of it. He heard her say something. A cold monotone voice was all that sounded in the room as she expressionlessly commented. Useless. Chapter 2. His heart was beating fast. This woman before him was supposed to be his mother. She was supposed to be a woman who had just experienced the pain of labor and birthed a child. Yet, he felt that she had no particular emotion towards him. She didn't even show an ounce of tiredness. She almost felt like an emotionless robot. Useless. He heard her say. He could automatically understand her words for some reason. His heart sank as he heard the word useless. Wait, I am not going to be killed, right? Just after I was born at that. He panicked. He didn't want to be killed for being branded useless. That would be the most wasteful death he could experience. Of course, he didn't care about the woman either. It was fine if she did not like him for some reason. He held no strong feelings either. He already had a mother in his past life, and the thought of suddenly accepting another woman as his mother was impossible. But the situation now was peculiar. He was experiencing a crisis, praying that he won't be killed. He could not run away with his current state either. Knock knock. At the moment, a small knock disturbed the eerily calm room. Speak. The gray-haired woman commanded. Her tone was authoritative and even colder. Madam, the clan head wishes to know about young master. It was a man behind the paper door. The flames of the candles reflected his shadow from the other side. His tone was respectful, tinged with a bit of fear. Not worth it. Tell them. She responded, not moving her gaze from the baby in her hands. The man behind the door paused as if he was shocked before he solemnly replied. As you command, Madame Ophelia. With that, the man left. The room was once again returned to silence. The woman named Ophelia moved her head slightly, and he was taken away by a midwife, put into a wooden cradle, and covered with a thin sheet. His mind was in chaos. A single name was all he could hear inside. Ophelia. Now I remember why I felt she looked familiar. It seems that I have reincarnated into the novel Divine Banishers, and not only that, as one of the children of the wife of the patriarch of Mystic Purge clan. He didn't know whether to cry or laugh. He was now a bit reassured that he wouldn't be killed for being useless, but the clan was a bit difficult. The novel called Divine Banishers was a hot serialized novel, and he was quite a fan of the work. He had invested money to support the author as well for his work. The novel was about exorcists and evil beings called demons. The world was filled with demons since ancient times, and these demons feasted upon human souls and were tyrannically dominant. However, soon some selected humans rose and hunted down the demons. They used supernatural powers rivaling those of demons and killed them relentlessly, claiming the world back slowly. These powerful humans called themselves exorcists. The world was soon thrown into chaos as it became a battleground for the exorcists and demons. The protagonist of the novel was a young exorcist who led others and annihilated the demons, bringing the world to peace. It majorly focused on the protagonist's journey and his challenges as he became stronger bit by bit. According to his memories, the exorcists were mainly controlled by 5 major exorcist clans. These were the strongest clans, consisting of some of the most powerful and terrifying exorcists. They were the major leaders of the world at the moment. The Mystic Purge clan was one of the 5 great clans, having ancient roots. But, it was an extremely cruel clan. For greater benefit, they were willing to use any extreme methods, going as far as to kill their own comrades to annihilate the demons. Their methods were frowned upon by many, but no one dared to openly criticize them either. After all, each official exorcist from the clan was a master. The clan had also earned itself the title as the clan that purged the most demons. This is troublesome now. He was a bit helpless. The clan was not only cruel to the demons, but also to its members. Their training was ruthless and inhuman, clearly not a place for weaklings or soft-hearted people at all. It was a nightmarish place, to be honest. But what bugged him more was that he had been branded useless by Ophelia, his so-called mother, in this life. Ophelia was one of the strongest female exorcists. She had multiple abilities and was feared by demons and humans alike. What made her even more terrifying was the fact that she barely showed any emotion to anything. She was just like an emotionless doll who ruthlessly slaughtered her enemies. He didn't dare doubt her words. If Ophelia had classified him as useless, then it meant that he really was. She possessed a special pair of eyes that let her discern a person's worth and their talents. It was one of the 4 special eyes after all. But what should I do now? I must not have any talent for being an exorcist. How am I going to live here? He was quite worried now that he was aware of his situation more clearly. Not only that, but I am not even a special character, just a mob child of the clan with no talent for being an exorcist. How lame. He knew that the moment he stepped outside, he would either be killed by demons or would be kidnapped for his bloodline. Not only that, the Mystic Purge clan is quite infamous in the exorcist circle. Even in the novel, they had multiple clashes with the protagonist for not sharing the same morals and beliefs. Just as he felt all hope was lost, he heard a sound in his mind. Ding. Chapter 3. Ding. Conditions met. Binding system has been activated. System? He froze for a second before becoming overjoyed. His golden finger had arrived after all. He had initially planned to become that guy who uses his manipulation skills and becomes friends with all major characters for his safety. It was a troublesome choice, but he was planning to do that if he had nothing, but now it didn't seem necessary. The binding system allows the host to bind himself to one character, and as they grow stronger and achieve a milestone in their progress, the host will receive 10 times the result. What the fuck? This is so insane. He was shocked beyond words. The system was extremely powerful. But the next moment, he calmed down and focused on the words milestone and progress. Hey, system. Are you there? Can you elaborate further on what this means? He wanted to learn about the basic details. The words felt ambiguous. However, even after waiting a minute, he received no response and became aware that the system was not sentient. Well, this is also good. I don't like those, anyways. From what he could understand, the system would allow him to bind himself to a character, and as they trained and became stronger, he would receive 10 times the benefits of their training and rewards. It was undoubtedly a cheat. But considering he could only bind himself to one person at a time, then his rate of growth would be limited to that person's talent and hard work. Well, that wouldn't be too big of a problem. He remembered that there were many geniuses among geniuses in the novel. They were excellent exorcists, despite being young, and worked tirelessly daily to achieve greater heights. Of course, his goal was different. There is no better candidate for binding than the protagonist. He could not help but smile as he remembered the monster the protagonist was. Not only in terms of talent, but also hard work, there were few who could dare to even keep up with the protagonist in the entire novel. For now, however, he had more pressing matters to attend to. Not only was he useless, but he also believed that his treatment in the clan would soon become worse. Although he did not like the sound of that, he could do nothing for the time being. He first must find a temporary candidate to bind to until he meets the protagonist. Mystic Purge clan, huh? Thinking about the clan, a few suitable candidates popped up in his head. They were quite good and talented. He knew that if he did not bind someone soon, he might even suffer permanently. The clan was infamous for its cruel nature. Exorcists. He knew they wouldn't even care if he was killed by a demon or attacked someday. He needed strength to keep himself safe as long as he was in the clan. Maybe I will do that. She's suitable, surely. He decided on a suitable candidate for as long as he was in the clan. Nadia Mystic. The fourth young miss of the clan. And an important character in the novel. She was born with the greatest talent in the clan, inheriting the traits of both the patriarch and Ophelia. She was the genius miss from the clan, showing greater talent than any of her siblings. People often compared her to the founder of the clan in terms of talent. The moment she was born, Ophelia showed intense expressions for the first time after many years. In the novel, Nadia was trained by the best exorcists in the clan and had countless resources at her disposal since birth. She was a monster who could keep up with the protagonist of the generation. However, her personality was shit. Perhaps it was due to the presence of ruthless Ophelia and the cruel patriarch that she had a vicious personality upon growing up. Cold, ruthless, inhuman. These words could not do her justice. In the novel, exorcists from the other clans had given her a dark nickname for her inhuman tactics. Demon in a human skin. A shameful nickname for any exorcist, to be compared to a demon, their worst enemies. It was the greatest taint an exorcist could experience. Yet, Nadia was uncaring throughout her time. She slaughtered demons and hunted the humans who stood in her path. She was indifferent to everything. The relationship between her and the protagonist of the novel was platonic and unclear to readers. Even the strong-willed protagonist failed to persuade her to change her beliefs. She was that staunch. Now I need to know if she had been born already. Well, who am I even? He thought helplessly, not even knowing his own name. There were many children, and he hoped that Nadia should be there already. He prayed that he be younger so he could quickly bind to Nadia and start reaping benefits quickly. For now, all he could do was wait in the wooden baby cot, having nothing to do. He started to revise his knowledge about the novel that he would be needing in the near future. This should be the beginning stages of the novel considering the time. Ophelia had just birthed me, so there's no doubt about it that the novel has yet to enter the main arcs. The beginning arc was a bit bland as compared to other arcs. For now, the war between the demons and exorcists should be at a stalemate. The clans must be preparing their younglings for the future. Then there will be the academy arc where the main drama will begin. Till then I need to get a good amount of strength. The candle lights in the room flickered violently, and a dark aura was enveloping the entire household that night. Unknowingly, Ophelia had birthed an anomaly that she could not determine. An entity that was beyond her comprehension and might. It was not clear what the future held for their clan or even the world. But one thing was sure, demons and humans both would suffer the turbulence alike. It all depended on him now. Chapter 4. 5 years later. A little boy with short silver hair on his head and beautiful gem-like amethyst eyes was sitting on his knees quietly. In front of him was a middle-aged woman with a wrinkled face and stern expression. Master Oliver, now solve this problem, she said, sliding a sheet containing a number of math problems towards the calm boy. The boy was none other than Finn. In the past 5 years, he had learned a lot about himself and his situation. He was born as the fourth son, Oliver. Which meant Nadia was his twin sister. This relieved him when he came to know about it. He was glad that he didn't need to wait a lot. Apparently, she was born just before a few days he was born. In the novel, Nadia was not supposed to have a twin sibling, but perhaps it was due to him that this changed. Nonetheless, it did not halt his plans. At the moment, he was being taught by a teacher hired specifically to educate the children of the clan. No matter how pathetic his talent as an exorcist was, he still had the blood of the clan, so he was also taught. The family only needed excellent children, the pathetic ones shall be discarded. Although he had not shown any talent in being an exorcist, he had shown brilliant academic brilliance. which meant that he still had some worth as a scholar and could probably aid as a strategist in the future. This was quite surprising to him. He had thought initially that he would be thrown out of the clan soon, but unexpectedly, they still kept him and raised him normally. It seems they still care about their blood. Oliver felt happy that he was left alone and was not denied too much. Of course, he was still despised by the clan members for being born weak. He was too lazy to bother with them and focused on showing his academic talents. Naturally, he didn't have any talents, it was just that the education for a 5-year-old was just too damn easy for him. In the field of technology, this world was not much different from his previous one. Here. He calmly filled in the answers and returned the sheet. Excellent, Master Oliver, as expected. The teacher nodded and praised him upon seeing all sums were done correctly. She knew that the level of the problem was not something a 5-year-old should be able to solve, but here she was. It was a pity that Oliver didn't have any talent for being an exorcist, or he could have achieved much greater heights. Whatever, she was here to teach, and she would do just that. She dared not comment on him. In the end, he still belonged to the direct lineage of the Mystic Purge clan. Oliver knew what she was thinking and didn't comment. He was quite excited today as he could finally meet his sister, Nadia. In the past 5 years, he was not permitted to leave his room much, but after persistent begging to the maids and the guards, he was finally permitted to roam in the household. He didn't understand their logic of not letting him leave his room, but in the end, he succeeded. In the past 5 years, he had shown terrifying brain and mental aptitude which earned him a bit of praise from others. And this was precisely why his persistent begging was paid heed to. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been allowed to get outside and stay in his room forever. Maybe they felt that I would shame them by showing my face to others, huh? He had some guesses as to why he was under such harsh conditions. But he couldn't care about that. He could finally meet Nadia and bind to her. After that, he didn't care if they imprisoned him or whatever, he would automatically become strong. Then, I will leave now, Oliver said to the teacher and left the study room. The whole house was made in a Japanese style. From the houses to the roofs to the flooring, everything was made out of traditional materials. It gave him a grand and ancient feeling. He walked on the wooden flooring, his white socks rubbing against the floor. He was dressed in modest clothes at the moment, with a simple shirt and pants. He was searching for Nadia. He had asked around a few maids and knew about her whereabouts. The household was extremely humongous, and he lived in some isolated corner. Whereas Nadia lived quite close to the center of the estate. So, he took some long routes and reached her courtyard shortly. Clang! He heard some sounds as soon as he reached there. It was the sound of clashing of weapons. Peeking from behind a rock, he saw her finally. There she was, in her training clothes, thrusting her sword and swinging at the metallic training statue. His eyes widened when he saw her. She was literally the same age as him, but the way she was swinging the sword and hammering the metal dummy was astonishing. Despite her mere age, she was monstrously powerful. The metal dummy shook with every impact of her swing, as if ready to fall apart at any moment. As expected of Nadia, the demoness. Oliver sucked a cold breath. He was sure that one hit from her would send him to the afterlife. Nadia paused suddenly and twisted her body and stared at the rock where he was hiding behind. His scalp went numb when he was easily detected. Is she even human? Oliver cursed, a bit worried now. Show yourself, Nadia spoke, her voice as cold as ice. She didn't have an ounce of fear. She knew it was the main estate of the household, and the person hiding was likely not an enemy. It was highly impossible for someone to infiltrate their main household where the strongest exorcists lived. Hey? Chapter 5. Hey. Oliver was unsure of how to interact with her and awkwardly waved at her after coming from behind the rock. Nadia narrowed her eyes. She observed his features and felt quite intrigued. He was terrifyingly similar to her, with silver hair and amethyst eyes. It was known throughout the clan that she was the only one with amethyst eyes and silver hair. The amethyst eyes were something she had inherited from the patriarch of the clan and held a deep significance. She was aware that none of her siblings had amethyst eyes as far as she was told. The eyes held a deeper meaning than just their beauty. The rest of the children mainly inherited some other features of their father, hair and all, and rest was from their mother. But a person's eyes held a deep meaning in the exorcist world. After all, it was known to the world that the patriarch of the Mystic Purge clan possessed one of the three special eyes. One of the powerful ones at that, so it was obvious she had also inherited them from him. It's just that she had yet to awaken them, but nonetheless, her perception range was astonishing. She easily found Oliver hiding from a distance. But more importantly, she could not help but stare at him. Her mind was filled with curiosity. She wondered who he was. Not only were their features almost similar, she felt a strong connection with him as well. He just needs a bit long hair. She thought how he would look exactly same as her if he grew his hair a bit more. Being children, their faces carried traces of baby fat and feminine features, so it would be difficult to tell who was who if Oliver did that. "Who are you?" Nadia questioned. She had to know who he was, and how he had same eyes as her father. "I am Oliver, the fourth son," he said, a bit unsure if she would believe him. Fourth son. These words resounded in her mind as she realized that there was actually another sibling. She was unaware, and not only that he seemed to be her twin. She experienced a complex emotion at the moment, a pang of excitement and amusement. More or less, her other brothers and sisters were either all older than her or younger. She rarely met them face to face. But she suddenly remembered her mother's words. "Nadia, you are the heiress of the clan, one of the 5 great clan, you must always behave accordingly. Don't show too much emotions, don't be dragged down by others. Be ruthless to those who are hostile, and never trust anyone other than yourself and me." She forcefully suppressed her excitement and went back to her cold face. She asked, "Why are you here? No one is allowed to enter here without my permission." I got lost and ended up here." Haha. Oliver joked, which made Nadia's expression even weirder. He got lost in his own house? She didn't believe that. She could easily remember every route in her memory. She was not aware that she had a strong memory, unlike Oliver, who came out for the first time. "Anyways, you are my sister, right? Man, they didn't allow me to leave my courtyard, and only now did I manage to sneak in this area. But to think I will meet my sister." Oliver faked and showed enthusiasm. He had to maintain a good relationship with her, plus he had to be in presence or touch her once to bind with her. "Hey, what's your name? I never knew that I had a twin. We even have same features too. I am so happy, all the others won't even talk to me." Oliver made up some things. It didn't hurt to tell a little falsehood to establish a strong foundation. Plus, due to their shared bloodline and being twins, he felt a strong connection with her. "Nadia," she replied, her voice a little low. For some reason, she also wanted to know him more. She felt a strong connection with him. No matter how much she tried to suppress herself, she was still a child, and there were some things that could not be helped. Her mind told her to follow her mother's words, but her heart did not listen. This was the first time she had lost such composure. She wanted to know why she was feeling the connection with him. If he was someone important, or something else was the case. "Wow, Nadia, what a good name," Oliver praised. His tongue was quite good at pleasing others after 5 years of consistent begging others to be allowed to be out. Well, it was different matter since he was still not allowed to come near the central area and had intentionally sneaked there just to meet Nadia. It was just a small skill he had acquired, and coupled with his innocent childish looks, this worked like a charm. "Nadia, would you come with me? I will show you my secret hideout, we can play there." Oliver didn't know how to spend some more time with her. He had to touch her once at least to bind, so he decided to sacrifice his hidden spot that he had found behind his courtyard. It was a good hiding spot, where he usually was when he was not studying. "No. I cannot play. I am the heiress." Her voice was low and small. She really wanted to deny him and continue training as per her mother's instructions. Tug. She saw as Oliver took her hand in his small hands and tugged her. In the end, she let herself be dragged away to see what was the place he was talking about. I need to know if there's such a hidden location in Clan T, then I can report back to Mother. That's right. Nadia told herself and went with Oliver. Ding. Nadia Mystic. Does the host wishes to bind with the individual? Chapter 6. Yes. Oliver was overjoyed as he finally received the notification. Binding. 1%. 69%. 100%. Successful. Nadia Mystic is now the target. Finally. Oliver mentally exclaimed as he led the cold sister of his to his hideout. He felt Nadia was too intelligent for her age and too stern. She needed to relax or she would really grow up to be a killing machine. If possible, he would like to avoid such a dark future for her. He could see it in her that she was born with plenty of emotions, it was just that her parents and upbringing had managed to kill off her emotions. He knew that he could not tamper with the plot too much also, all he could do was let her experience some joy that she won't forget and have a soft spot in her heart. Oliver led her to a place covered by willow trees. The land was cushioned by soft green grass and sunlight filtered through the gaps between the trees, making a serene mix of light and shadows. Occasional relaxing winds breezed through the trees, making the leaves rustle and keeping the spot warm and relaxing. It was truly a wondrous spot that had somehow come under his courtyard accidentally. Nadia was flabbergasted, her eyes could not help but tremble for some reason. The spot was simple yet to her, it felt exquisitely beautiful and peaceful. Her heart, which had been tense since forever, always under an invisible burden, suddenly relaxed. Ah! She could not help but let out a sound. She was at a loss of words, she wanted to express something but didn't know how to do that. For the past years, all she had done was train herself and study, she never knew about things like appreciating nature or taking a break. And it was understandable since she was the hope of her clan's future and the world was under threat from vicious demons that she needed to exorcise. She didn't have time for such silly things, yet here was she now. A strong feeling of unwillingness surged in her heart as she saw the calm nature. And as her eyes moved to the center, she looked at him, Oliver, a boy who suddenly barged in her daily life, claiming to be her unknown brother from the same mother. She bit her lip and stopped herself from moistening her eyes at the moment. Crying was something only weak people would do. She had once cried but was scolded by her mother, and after that her memories were a bit blurry, she could not remember what was the reason she had cried that time and what had happened afterwards. But one thing she was sure of was that she never shed a tear after that. So why was she like this now? There was nothing to cry about here. It was just a normal place with some ordinary trees and a common sibling of hers. She had many siblings and had seen many expensive artworks, then why? Why did she felt like crying now? Drip. 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 Tears fell from her eyes unintentionally, she felt her willpower was not enough to stop them. Are you crying? Oliver was busy admiring the place. When he saw her shedding tears, he felt awkward. He was never good when it came to dealing with children. In fact, he didn't even know what had he done to make this strong girl suddenly cry. In the novel, it was mentioned that she had been extremely strong-willed since childhood and to think she could also cry. No. I am not crying. She shook her head as she hurriedly wiped her tears only for more to keep coming. Oliver felt a pang of sympathy, so he tried to console in the way he considered would be good for a child. Patting her back, he said, "Hey, don't feel sad, okay? You can always come here if you like this place." He didn't say too much, just a few words, and rubbed her back. Soon enough, she composed herself. All that remained on her face was a heavy blush and some embarrassment. After a moment of silence, Oliver thought of something and said to her, "What do you think of this place?" "Okay." She calmly replied back, gaining back her composure with a light blush. "Oh, I don't have any toys to play with, what should I do?" He suddenly remembered that he never bothered asking for anything from his parents or maids, knowing he will be rejected. Not that he wanted any toys, considering he was an adult inside. No need. I don't care for such things. She rejected the very notion herself. If anything, she would prefer to duel with him. But, glancing at his frail body and undeveloped muscles, she knew he was not fit for any sort of combat. Too weak. She could not believe that a child of main lineage of her clan was this weak. All her siblings were quite good, although not at her level, but still at a decent level for their age. So, why was he like this? There were too many unknowns about him. Hey? Oliver was taken aback. He forgot for a moment that she was still that Nadia from the novel, even though she just cried like a little girl. But he felt it would be quite wasteful after coming this far and letting her leave already. I need to build a good relationship with her. In the future, I could reap some extra benefits this way. Plus, he thought as he looked at her once again cold expression. She's too pitiful. He could not help but feel that she was quite alone. From the novel, he could tell that she had always been alone in her life. Always on guard against others, even against her own family members, ready for battle to death, vicious schemes, politics, demons, and whatnot. He didn't know if he as an adult felt that their parents had failed in their job in raising their kids. Chapter 7. Maybe it was the environment of war that they and their previous generation grew up in, witnessing loss of their loved ones, that they were like this, but for once, he could not relate to them. He was a person who never experienced such cruel hardships, so he never blamed them. But still, he could not leave her alone. His mind told him it was not his business, and he agreed. He was not going to go out of his way to correct every action of theirs. That would be too hypocritical of him to pose his beliefs onto others. But Nadia was someone who he needed to grow strong, if possible, stronger than she was in the novel. So, he would try a little to not completely ignore her now that his system has bound to her character. He was not so selfish to freeload off her. He had his own principles as a man. But for now, he should entertain her a little before sending her back. He had an idea as to what to do. How about I tell you a story? Story? She was curious. What story was he talking about? She doubted there was something that could interest her. His lips curled into a smile. While I may look like this, I am quite smart, you know. Even the teachers praise me. Anyways, I have a few stories that might interest you. Oliver knew that although the world was as developed as his, but the media and entertainment sectors were underdeveloped due to the wars and demons. It was like 10 to 15 years lacking behind his previous world. Without wasting time, he picked up few popular children's stories. There were many. One was about a hungry caterpillar as it becomes a butterfly after many hardships. One was about a clever mouse who saves a ship from sinking. Another was about a bear who lived on a snow mountain. Nadia, who was initially not believing that he was good enough to entertain her, was fully immersed since his first story. Oliver also knew this. She was kid, and all the stories he had selected were very popular among children. After an hour or so of continuous stories, he started to get a little worried. If someone came to check up on Nadia and saw her absent from her courtyard, it would stir a storm in the clan, so he quickly wrapped up everything. Nadia was still in a daze when she heard him say it was finished for today. Unintentionally, she uttered, "So soon." But the next moment she realized her mistake and blushed again. She quickly got up from the grass she was seated on and dusted her clothes. Then I will leave. And don't sneak in my courtyard next time," she loudly said to cover her embarrassment, and left, leaving Oliver alone. Oliver's lips twitched as he heard her arrogant tone. Who was the one that just said it was finished so soon? She is still a kid. Don't feel angry. He had gained a lot from the day, and now all he had to do was just wait in his room and wait for results. Underscore 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 underscore. Nadia quickly returned to her courtyard and shut herself in her room. Her face was red and she was panting a little. She dashed straight to her room. What have I done today? Why did I act so weird in front of him? She walked back and forth in her room, tugging at her short hair in frustration. She felt she had acted too shamelessly today. She was the pride of her clan and she lost her composure so badly today. She even cried in front of someone. Too much. This was too much for her to bear. She wanted to dig a hole and hide in it. Wait. Why am I being so conscious? A sudden thought came to her mind. Practically, he was a stranger to her and there was a chance that they would never meet again. So it should be all right, right? And if he dares to expose her, there was no proof on him, plus no one would believe his words. She was the pride of her clan after all. But still, a trace of unwillingness flashed through her eyes. She was not willing to lose so much face in front of him. She was prideful and strong woman while he was a weak man. She had to settle this matter somehow. And to do that, I must meet him again and settle scores. She nodded at her intelligent decision. Naturally, this was the optimal situation according to her. Composing herself once again, she threw the weapon she was carrying to the side and crashed into her futon. She felt extra tired today and needed some good rest. Underscore 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 underscore. Oliver resumed his daily routine. There was not much response from the system afterwards, which meant that Nadia had yet to reach a milestone in her training. His studies kept getting harder and harder as the tutors were impressed by his scholarly aptitude. In the next half year, he managed to earn the title of the smartest youth of the clan. Even though the difficulty level was increased, to him, it was all a child's play. He was not only taught the basic subjects, but also knowledge about world, demons, clans, which he pretty much knew already. He knew that he had shown some value to the clan and he won't be abandoned now. He had pretty much secured himself a place for the time being. And soon, he received the first ever system notification of the reward. Ding! Target has awakened one of the 4 mythical eyes after undergoing rigorous training. The Abyss Eyes. Ding! Obtaining 10x benefits. The Cosmic Void Gaze has been obtained. Eyes will be awakened in the host. Oliver was just lazing around in his courtyard when he received the notification. It was just too sudden. Barefooted, he ran to his hidden spot in case of something unexpected happening. And just as he arrived in his hideout, a bone-crunching pain suddenly boomed through his head. Ag dash. Chapter 8. Arg dash. He clutched his eyes as if wanting to pull them out of their sockets to stop the terrifying pain, but to no avail. He cried hysterically. The pain was heart-wrenching and he was unable to endure it without prior preparations. He rolled on the ground as his wails continued. Tears soaked his fragile skin. No one came to check on him either. He lived pretty much alone and only maids came to clean his house or deliver food. He was technically isolated from the rest of the clan. Huff. 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 After what seemed to be hours of continuous pain, his cries finally dimmed down. He was sprawled on the grassy floor, not even having the strength to get up, and he felt extremely tired. He could not even open his eyes and he didn't know when, but he fell asleep. Underscore 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 underscore. It was soon night and he finally woke up and found himself still laying on the ground where he had fallen asleep. Ugh. He let out a groan as he mustered up some strength to get himself up. Slowly, he opened his eyes. The world before him was momentarily blurry before it started to clear. What he saw before him surprised him. Not only was his vision extremely clear, he found out that he could make out even minute details of his surroundings, from the veins on the leaves to the textures of tree branches even in the dark. More importantly, I can see it. He thought as he saw numerous colorful particles in the air, densely filling up the air. These particles were the source of an exorcist's powers. Espera. The source of all supernatural power that exorcists and demons have in common. Something that also determines the power of an exorcist. It is present everywhere and those who could wield it could do anything. The more aspera they have, the stronger they become. When Oliver was declared useless, it meant that he didn't have talent to properly harness or utilize aspera. Of course, this did not also mean that he was just an ordinary human with no compatibility with it. That was not possible since the blood of Mystic Purge clan flowed through his veins, so naturally he was born with some aspera. But when Ophelia said that he was useless, she meant that he was unable to satisfy even the minimum criteria to be qualified as an exorcist. He had a very poor aptitude for being an exorcist overall. I can see why she said that I was useless now. He thought as he looked at the countless aspera particles revolving around him, but only a very tiny portion of them actually came to him. So useless. He shook his head in resignation. Anyways, I will eventually get the talent too. I need to patient. He felt excited as he obtained a 10x stronger version of the Abyss Eyes. In the novel, the Abyss Eyes were one of the 4 mythical eyes and were extremely powerful. There were many benefits Nadia abused, such as providing dominion over the void and shadows, manipulating darkness to create portals, induce fear, and drawing power from the abyss. It also gave some mysterious and formidable set of abilities tied to the darker elements in the later parts. Oliver recalled the events and thought speechlessly. He was already content if he just received the same abilities, but now he had a 10x stronger version. System, display the ability obtained. The Cosmic Void Gaze. Ability 1, Dominion over Cosmic Voids. Description, provides control over not only darkness, but the vast void between cosmos. Superior form of darkness element, void unlocked. Ability 2, Master of Interdimensional Portals. Description, possessor no longer limited to the same dimension anymore. Portals can be used for instantaneous transportation. Depends on the level of mastery. Ability 3, Enshrouding of Death. Description, has the power to induce overwhelming fear on a grand scale, affecting entire battlefields or even entire legions. Fear is no longer a psychological aspect anymore, but a tangible force that weakens target and strengthens the possessor. Ability 4, Circuit of the Abyss. Description? Ability 5, Planar Imprisonment. Description? Ability 7? Oliver was quiet for a while after looking at the cheat. Fuck, was all he could say. Calm down, me. Calm down. Oliver wanted to shout that he had finally become a cheat character, but forcefully suppressed it. If he made too much noise, he would draw the attention of the clan guardians undoubtedly. There are some abilities that have no description. It seems I would need to train this to unlock more information, and there are even more abilities. Oliver was riled up now. He finally had something to do while he spent his time alone. He was not allowed to leave the clan at any cost, nor was he allowed to use the special training facilities. He was just too miserable in the clan. His teachers wanted to nurture him into a battle strategist and make him serve his siblings in the future, and it seemed the supervisors responsible for training the direct children of the clan also agreed. While his other brothers and sisters were learning powerful weapon techniques and exorcism skills, here he was learning theory and schemes. Well, I have the system, so I have no complaints. Oliver got up and whistled as he made his way back to his courtyard. But he forgot one thing in this whole scenario. The awakening of mythical eyes always trigger a lot of disturbances. And he, who had awakened something 10 times stronger, was bound to make a tremor. This meant that such an anomaly happening inside one of the strongest exorcist clan was hard to go unnoticed no matter what. It was one of the major places in the world that no one dared to easily step in. A place where the most crazy and insane exorcists of the generation lived and practiced their bloody techniques. And now such a huge disturbance had occurred. Underscore 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 underscore. What was that? A figure in dark exclaimed. Chapter 9. What was that? A dark figure floating in the sky observed Oliver down below, who was going back to his courtyard. As moonlight fell upon the figure, the full body was revealed. It was not a human, but a white-colored kitten. I came here due to the large amount of Aspera disturbance, but this is... The white kitten spoke human language perfectly. She glanced at the spot where the boy had just been and landed there gracefully. What was that ominous power, just now? A demon? No, a demon's Aspera cannot even compare to this. What exactly was it, and why was it coming from that boy? The cat mumbled as she dazedly glanced at particularly nowhere. But in fact, she was witnessing the Aspera particles in front of her being slowly disintegrating as dense black and purple particles collided with them. She seemed to see even more details than what Oliver could see. After all, she was no ordinary kitten or cat. She was the clan guardian of the Mystic Purge clan. Each of the 5 great clan had their own clan guardians. These are the entities that their founding exorcists had formed contracts with, and these contracts were always changed whenever a new patriarch or matriarch assumed the throne of clan. This is interesting. If I am not wrong, this is the one that the Ophelia girl said was useless at birth. It stirred a storm at that time that someone from our lineage could be born with no talent for exorcism. The cat stretched as she wondered. And here we are, what has this boy awakened? It was ominous enough to make me on guard. Me, the great me? If I tell this to Ophelia, she would probably make a good expression. Ha ha ha. The cat laughed as she jumped on a nearby tree. But unfortunately, both of them are out at the moment, or they would have reached here by now. Is it fate that this was not to be seen by them? She had a questioning look in her eyes as she stared at the sky, as if staring at strings of fate. After a moment, she shook her head. I can't see the fate, this boy's fate seems too complex for my level. Should I ask that person to read his fate? No, I better not, or it will create trouble, but still what to do now? She had thoughtful look on her face as she calculated the next course of her actions. I need to keep him under my supervision. Whatever the power he had awakened, it is not something he could handle at his level. Plus, I need to observe him and understand how did that Ophelia was unable to see his potential? She jumped from one tree to another, her direction, Oliver's courtyard. That boy clearly has immense potential, more than that Nadia girl. If he is not put on right path from the beginning, he might turn astray. Or who knows, he might have already started bearing a grudge against the clan. Well, can't blame it on him either. The clan has developed some weird policies. Her speed was normal, just like that of Cat, and she was about to reach his courtyard. I think I would need to take the role of babysitter myself. I cannot trust anyone else with this. Has it already been a few centuries since I had to raise someone? A look of sadness flashed through her eyes as she remembered something while jumping, but it disappeared as quickly as it arrived. But, that boy sure is phenomenal, to be able to conceal his emotions and expressions for so long and act so composed. This is indeed something for someone his age. She smirked. It was as if he had not awakened that terrifying power from before at all and was just a bystander. She did not know about Oliver being famous for being a genius for his age. She hardly paid attention to things that did not concern exorcism and demons. And not only her, most of the major figures in the clan did not care about such things. Oliver, at most, was only a little famous among his maids or some servants. The clan believed in power. Intelligence is necessary, but as a tool only. As long as you are intelligent enough to properly use your immense powers, you can crush someone who is extraordinarily smart easily. As long as one meet a certain threshold of intellect, they were enough. Rest depended on their power and exorcism skills. As for the elders, it seems I would need to make up a story to satisfy them, huh? Well, they are just kids anyways. She mused as she thought about the worried elders of the clan who had also sensed the ominous Aspera before, but she took the initiative to investigate. She did so because she knew that the sudden ominous Aspera was threatening enough for her to act. Sending the elders was not worth the effort. Albeit the ominous Aspera was only there momentarily, it still was something to worry about. But now that she knew about the cause, she had to handle it her own way. She cannot leave this matter to the current patriarch and her cold wife. If I leave it to them, they will probably try to turn him into a killing machine like they are doing to Nadia. These brats won't listen to my warnings. She thought about their nature and values, she did not know when, but somehow she had neglected how the clan heads were being raised, considering it petty things, and before she knew, the clan had turned like this. Considering this, she had also failed a bit as their guardian. Although it was not her duty to interfere in their way of parenting or raising their children, she should have paid attention occasionally. But Oliver was an entirely different case, she cannot leave him to them at all. If he was raised wrongly, it would not only be harmful for clan, but could even impact the human society. Demons were cunning and vicious, and there were cases when powerful exorcists in the past had betrayed humanity for demonkind and caused inhuman destruction. She had to observe Oliver herself. If he was bearing a grudge against his useless parents, she would try to help him and give care, but if she determines that he can no longer be corrected and has gone truly astray, then she would have to kill him. Chapter 10. It was easy to eliminate such a dangerous threat while it was still in its growing stage. Even earlier, when he was sleeping, she had this thought to finish him for once and all, but she refrained from doing so. She decided to take the risk. If she could nurture him properly, he might become the key to put an end to this everlasting war between exorcists and demons forever. Swish! She was finally at his courtyard. Meow. It's time for some babysitting. Unknowingly, Oliver, who thought he would just remain as a side character forever and become strong silently, had attracted a notorious entity to him. Underscore 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 underscore. Oliver, who had just returned from an exhausting day, was about to crash into his bed for some sleep when he heard his paper door being scratched from outside, which made him flinch. He had just returned and something was now scratching at his door. But he thought about it. His clan was guarded by exorcists 24/7, so there can't be an intruder. So who would come at this time? He looked towards the paper door and saw a shadow beyond. His eyes focused and he saw something wondrous as the shadow converged and in countless black lines solidified the figure hidden behind. And soon a figure of a clearly defined cat formed in front of him. A cat? Did it sneak in somehow? How is that possible? He cautiously moved towards the door and slowly opened it. A pristine white cat was at his feet. Meow. It affectionately meowed at him as it nudged against his clothes. Hee, I will coax him with my cuteness. The cat thought, as she was quite confident in her cuteness. Unless he was an emotionless doll like his mother or sister, he would definitely take her in. Oliver stared at the nudging cat and then moved his hand from behind his back. Bang! Meow! What the fuck? The cat exclaimed in shock as Oliver just tried to smash her with a broom. Damn cat, I don't have food. Fuck off. He cursed as he once again attacked the cat with his broom. Meow. The clan guardian ran as Oliver followed behind with his broom. Bang! 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 He intended to drive away the stray cat from his yard. He didn't like animals much since his past life. Meow. 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 For some reason, the cat kept running away from him inside his courtyard only, not leaving. The darkness didn't hinder him either, thanks to his special eyes. Bang! 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 Get out, you little dash. I don't have food for stray animals like you. Bang! 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 Oliver kept swinging the broom as it chased the cat. Some hits were successfully connected, but the cat still stubbornly persisted. What is wrong with this kid? Is he insane? Hitting the clan guardian with a broom? No one has ever dared to disrespect me like that. This is animal abuse. The cat thought while running away. She thought Oliver would accept her considering she was pitiful and came to him in the cold night, but it seemed that the boy had no kindness towards her. People had begged her to grace them with her presence, offering her countless treasures in her life, but never had someone dared to so blatantly chase her away with a broom. What was more shameful was that she was hit by the boy accidentally. She was forcibly suppressing her speed and strength so as not to make a mess of his yard, but this boy was not stopping at all. She really wanted to beat some sense into this impudent brat. Meow. Another hit landed on her, but straight as she cried out. Bam. In her game of chase, she did not see that there was a wall in front of her and crashed into it. Ow. It hurts. Oliver, who had been following behind closely, also looked at the cat speechlessly. Was this cat dumb? There was a huge wall in front of it, yet it still collided straight into it. Seeing as how he had her cornered, he did not hit it any more. He felt that the cat was a bit pitiful, laying there pressing her forehead in pain. Huh? Doesn't this cat act humane-like? Normally, shouldn't a cat lick their injuries, so why is this dumb-looking cat pressing her head instead? He puzzledly looked at the cat and felt something was odd. Stronger version of mythical eyes awakened. Check. A huge disturbance produced in the middle of clan. Check. Someone sent to investigate. Check. A weird cat came to him in the middle of night. Check. All of this happened just after he awakened the special eyes. Check. Clan guardian of the Mystic Purge clan also has the form of a cat. Check. The clan security is extremely tight that no animal could enter. Check. Oliver threw the broom away as he rubbed his hands. Indeed, he understood what was happening. Unexpectedly, he had been attacking the clan guardian with his broom. Anyways, it was not his fault. The guardian should have assumed a proper form if it was coming to meet him. Hey there, cute kitten, does it hurt? I remember that I still have some leftover fish from afternoon. I will feed it to you if you are hungry. Seeing the sudden shift in Oliver's attitude, the cat felt suspicious. For some reason, it had a bad premonition. Why was the brat who was brutally beating her suddenly change his manners? Did he finally feel pity for her after seeing her hit herself into the wall? So he was a human after all, and here she was about to assume him to be some vicious demon instead. Seeing that the cat was looking at him suspiciously, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He had indeed did something terrible just now. Whether it was the clan guardian or not, he still hit her with a broom. So, he went back inside and brought out some fish. Putting the fish in front of the cat, he didn't say anything and just went back to sleep. If the clan guardian wanted to keep an eye on him, then there was nothing much he could do with his current power. So, it was better to cooperate with the cat and make it fat and lazy. Chapter 11. He properly seasoned the fish before giving it to the cat also so that she won't mind too much. How could he know that the clan guardian had tasted delicacies that he could never imagine, and he just gave her a leftover fish, which was another great humiliation to the entity. But what could it do? Tell him about it and expose her secret? She had come in the disguise of a normal cat to observe Oliver more closely, so she cannot do that. All she could do was accept the fish. It was surely not due to the fact that the fish looked quite delicious. Damn it. This kid is too much. Nom nom. If this fish was bad, I would have had him executed publicly. The clan guardian quietly munched off the fish and rested outside for the night. It would try again the next day. Underscore 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 underscore. Soon, it was morning and Oliver felt more refreshed than ever. His eyes were now relaxed and he felt his sense of vision was amplified hundredfolds. One thing to know was that he was visually handicapped in his previous life, so for him to see things so clearly was a pleasant experience. After taking a bath, he moved towards the mirror to comb his short hair, but he saw something wondrous instead. His eyes, their color had changed. They had mutated. Earlier, he had deep purple-colored eyes, but now the color had changed completely. Instead of just being a shade of amethyst, there were some other colors as well, red, black, a bit white. And not only that, with his enhanced sight, he could see a complex pattern in the middle of his iris. He felt dizzy just glancing at the pattern. He dared not to stare at it too much lest it drained all his mental power. He believed it had something to do with the cosmic void gaze. And not to mention, he felt a mysterious charm in those eyes. They were beautiful and awing to look at. It was as if he was looking at a piece of beautiful and valuable art. It was a dangerous feeling. He wanted to just keep staring in the mirror at himself. He shook his head to distract himself and quickly combed his hair and left his room. Outside, he saw the clan guardian napping peacefully on a grassy patch. Perhaps sensing his presence, the cat woke up and ran up to him, meowing at him pitifully. He scoffed. The clan guardian was really good at acting. Did she think that last night he had felt pity for her and let her stay? If so, then it was good. He no longer intended to offend her. She was an ancient monster that should not be provoked in the early stages of the plot. Despite her harmless appearance of a white cat, she was way darker than a demon inside. Looks can be deceiving indeed. Oliver nodded to himself. In the novel, there were many wolves in sheep's skin that he had to be careful of in the future. Do you want me to adopt you? Oliver looked at her and asked the obvious. The cat furiously nodded, which made his expression weird. Do you not realize that by nodding your head, you're technically telling me that you can understand human tongue and are definitely not an ordinary cat? He felt that perhaps the clan guardian had grown senile. Nevertheless, he had made some arrangements beforehand. All right, I will own you from now on. Meow. The cat jumped happily. Finally, I succeeded. Then I will need a name for you. How does Socks sound? Oliver sucked at naming, so whatever came to his mind, he spat. Socks? Are you kidding me? I know that I have the same color as your socks, but still, how the fuck do I look like a sock? She growled at him, making him rethink his decision. Huh. This is tough. How about Zippy? He thought for a moment and remembered that a stray dog from his past life was also called Zippy in the neighborhood, so he said that. Seeing the cat was satisfied, he nodded. Now that everything was settled, he let the cat enter his house and took out a fluffy cushion. Zippy, the clan guardian who had been named, thought it was supposed to be her seat and was about to sit on it when she saw Oliver sit on it. Huh? What are you looking at? Is there a rat in the house? He looked around confusedly but found nothing odd. After that, he ignored her and assumed a meditative posture, feeling the Aspera around him. He tried to draw in the Aspera towards him, but the flow was pathetic. It was as if only one particle out of 200 entered him. It's no use, unless I obtain an inherent talent from Nadia, I cannot try this. And for that, I would need to wait for her to make a milestone in her Aspera training. Well, it should be coming soon if we follow the novel's plot. He grinned to himself, not minding the weird stares of the cat. What is this kid doing? His flow is so pathetic. I can't believe someone from our main lineage could be born this lacking. Then what was that ominous power from before? It can't be that I was mistaken. I can smell it on him. Zippy was confused at him. She thought of some treasures that she had which might help him raise his potential slightly, but they were too precious, and there was no guarantee that he would obtain a great talent after consuming them. So she just laid down and watched him do his things. If he really could not achieve anything in the end, she would feed it to him and then test out her doubts. Something was better than nothing after all, plus she had no need for those treasures herself. Knock. Knock. Young master, it is time for your lessons. A cold voice sounded from the other side of the door. It was his maid who often came to deliver food and recite his schedules. All right, send the teacher, I will be ready shortly. Chapter 12. After taking his routine lessons, he was once again free. The cat had wandered off to somewhere, so Oliver did not care much. Now then. Stretching his arms, he looked at the sky with a thoughtful gaze. I should probably help Nadia achieve a milestone. Indeed, after much contemplation, he had arrived at the conclusion that the faster he would help her grow her strength, the stronger he would become as well. So instead of lazing around in the courtyard all day, which was a bad habit, he decided to do what he could at the moment. Although his scope of operations was limited to the Mystic Purge clan, there were still some things hidden here and there in the clan which he could potentially obtain. In the original novel, those items were usually obtained by some minor characters, so he thought that he might as well give them to Nadia to increase her power. Anyways, they were just some booster items he could spend on her for growth. He had decided that rather than just sitting idly, he would help the main characters grow so he can obtain more benefits. If I know from the novel correctly, near the oak tree at the western area of the clan, there should be a huge rock, and 29 steps away from it just beneath the ground should be something that could greatly benefit Nadia. He quickly finished his business and went out towards the western part of the clan. The clan was a huge place. It was not an exaggeration to claim that their clan was no smaller than a city itself, just that it was secluded and not many people knew the exact location of this place. The clan had everything one could need. It was a self-functioning city in itself. The town was divided into regions: east, west, north, south, and central parts. From tall and traditional-styled houses to shops selling weapons and food, everything was properly arranged in the town. The central area was the place where his father, mother, and rest of the siblings lived. Along with them, the important elders or the important individuals also resided there. His house was located in the east, just a little away from the central area. This was also probably why that most people were unaware of his existence. He sighed. The world was really cruel, but his family was even more. He was mature by mind, so he did not care, but had it been a real child, to be isolated like that from their family, it would have severely affected their psyche. Anyways, his goal for the day was the western area of the clan. He quietly left his courtyard and after an hour of traveling, he directly reached the specified spot. He received a few strange gazes on his way, probably due to his symbolic white hair, but he ignored them naturally. Pat pat. It should be around here. He kicked the ground with his feet and measured exact 29 steps from the rock near the oak tree. It was an unimpressive spot that no one really cared about. To think, there would be a treasure item hidden just beneath this place. He shook his head and retrieved a shovel he had brought along him and started digging into the spot. It did not take him long before he felt some resistance. Clang! That's it. He threw the shovel away and used his hands to clean the dirt and soil away from the metallic box. It was a small and ordinary-looking gray metal box. However, the box gave off an ancient vibe upon looking. Body-strengthening elixir, this is great stuff. His eyes shone as he inspected the contents of the metal box. Elixirs were potions that upon being consumed provided the person with a permanent advantage in their aspects. Elixirs were a rarity and countless alchemists worked daily to produce one. Yet, it was not an easy feat to be achieved. Only master alchemists with a fine control over aspera and excellent dexterity could dare to produce them. And each elixir once produced was sold at sky-high prices in the market. The art of potion crafting was ancient and was strictly regulated by the clans. Even in his clan that had multiple strong alchemists, an elixir was still a rare item to be obtained and people would send endlessly to get their hands on one. The advantage was too great after all. Who would dare to reject a permanent boost in their abilities? If someone was lucky enough, they might even awaken new powers through consumption. In a world of demons and wars, for a hunter, such a thing was priceless. Alchemists were highly respected for this reason alone. They were known for their ability to produce miracles. This potion in his hands was also probably the work of some ancient alchemist of the clan who might have hidden it for some purpose or just leave it as an inheritance for their future generation. Unfortunately, their family either did not continue or this precious item was lost by them. Whatever it was, now it belonged to him. No, it belongs to Nadia. He laughed and went back with the box. It had been some time since he last met her and he was quite curious how she will react after seeing him. She should not attack me like last time probably. I made sure to leave a positive impression on her last time after all. With that thought, he went back to his courtyard first and stored the metal box somewhere. The elixir was inside a long glass tube and was radiating a shiny and sparkly bluish color. It was quite beautiful to look at, one of the features of an elixir. He carefully stored the elixir in the pocket of yukata. That's right, the culture that his clan followed seemed to be closely tied with the Japanese culture in his previous world. Although now that the world had become plagued with wars and demons, the concept of countries and boundaries was now vague, and everything where humans lived was considered a human territory that was under the rule of one of the 5 clans. Chapter 13. He made a trip to the central area of the clan once again. He was no longer restricted to his courtyard anymore, and was allowed to move around. But when he entered the central area, he felt a chill on his back. It was as if he was being observed by countless eyes. He discreetly tried to look around and found that people were minding their own business, not exactly paying him attention. No, they are definitely observing me through some means, or it could be the hidden guards in the area watching me. Earlier, when I visited the central area, I did not feel anything, but now after awakening the special eyes, I can feel them. He instinctively felt the urge to use his special eyes to counter, but refrained. He dared not to show anything lest he was taken directly to his mother. He made up his mind and ignored the hidden gazes and moved along the street towards the courtyard of his sister, Nadia. It was still some distance away. It should take him around 20 minutes to reach by walking. He exhaled slightly. His entire body was tense from the feeling of someone constantly watching his every step. He could not help but lose focus again and again. It was very irritating. He wished that they could leave him alone. It is as if I am some sort of enemy of theirs, that they must keep watch on. Oliver annoyedly thought as he kept moving forward. He was already in the central area of the town, and all around of him were tall houses with entrances to the courtyards of important people of the clan. As he walked deeper, the amount of people became less and less, signifying the importance level. And that's how I defeated them, brother. Suddenly, Oliver's ears picked some noises from ahead as he raised his head and narrowed his eyes. There was a group of people walking his way. They all seemed to be older than him. All of them were wearing traditional yukatas. From just one glance at their clothes, anyone could tell they were lavish. They were much better than Oliver's plain cloth. No way, why do I keep encountering troubles? Oliver's mouth twitched. He quickly recognized them to be his older siblings. They were his 2 older brothers, the second and third oldest sons, along with the third oldest daughter of the family. They seemed to be walking out to somewhere, and he just happened to bump into them. Although there was not much info about these side characters, but from the nature of the clan and their upbringing, he was sure that they all must be trash among trashes. Pretend I didn't see them. Oliver tried to lower his presence, as much as he could try to do so. He hoped that they will just ignore him as a passerby and he could reach his destination. Last time, he did not encounter any troubles at all, but this time, he was met with all annoying things, from hidden guards to these siblings of his. Hey, who are you? A voice sounded from behind Oliver, making him feel goosebumps all over his skin. He immediately turned around to see the third oldest brother of his looking down at him. Just one moment ago, they were in front of him and now they were behind him. This level of speed was terrifying. This area and beyond is only accessible to direct family members of Mystic Purge clan, don't you know? The older boy commented in a plain tone. There was something like this as well. Oliver exclaimed. Sure enough, this seemed possible in such a huge clan. Shane, look at his hair. Why does he have the same hair color as mother? The third miss of the clan also came near and observed his features as she asked her twin brother, the one who had approached Oliver the first. Usually, white-haired people were only the direct family members of the clan. It was not that they all had white hair. But since Ophelia had white hair and majority of children inherited her hair, so they were known by their hair color throughout the clan. Now that you mention it, he does share the same hair color, but I can't recognize him though. The oldest of the 3 also came forward and now Oliver was surrounded by them. All 3 of them gave a strong pressure. It was as if he was surrounded by 3 ferocious beasts in the jungle. I will ask again, who are you? What do I say? It's better to be truthful here. It's not like I did something offensive that they will hurt me, right? With that thought in his mind, he calmly replied. I am Oliver, Oliver Mystic, the 4th son. Before he could continue, a powerful slap connected to his right cheek. The force sent him throwing backwards. Cough dash. Oliver coughed out blood, the inner skin of his cheek was peeled by the force as blood filled his mouth. How dare you say yourself to be a mystic with that minuscule amount of strength? Are you looking to die? The third miss was the one who had sent him throwing. She coldly looked down at him. For some reason, looking at his face reminded her of someone strong, so she could not help but be pissed and attack him. She did not believe that he was their sibling at all. Every single member bearing the blood of the mystic clan's direct lineage was a living legend, and so were their descendants. A weakling had no place in their family, and Oliver was the exact definition of weak. She could sense that he barely had any aspera inside him. It could not be possible that he had so much aspera in his body that she could not sense. After all, there were only two cases where either the person's aspera level was too high or too low that one cannot sense it. From the looks, Oliver was younger than them, and therefore it was impossible for him to surpass them in aspera quantity unless he was some exception genius, which he clearly wasn't, or else they would have known of such a sibling. Impersonation of the direct family members of the mystic clan was a serious crime and demanded on-spot execution. Get up and explain yourself. A condescending voice echoes above Oliver as he slowly looked at them. Chapter 14. Get up. Shane also joined her and ordered him to stand back. Who are you? And why are you here? Oliver slowly raised his head as he tried to get up, only to receive a strong blow on his abdomen. Shane had just kicked him in the stomach. Ugh dash. Cough dash. Oliver once again crashed into the wall. He felt as if the air was sucked out of his lungs. The kick was very strong. I cough. Cough dash. He was not even allowed to speak before he was thrown over again by her again. Weakly, he looked at them only to see devious smirks on their faces. It was at that moment he realized something. They did not care whether he was genuine or not, they wanted to beat him to death for their fun. They were enjoying the process of beating him again and again as he tried to get up and explain. They were both sadists. No, the entire family was a bunch of cruel psychotic sadists. He realized this. In the novel, it was especially mentioned the clan's alignment and nature. The Mystic Purge clan was dark, and people from this clan harbored sadistic tendencies. It was due to the way they were raised since birth that their mental state was bent towards torture and death. He had not seen such a nature in Nadia last time and had ignored the fact as such. When he saw her cry pitifully last time, he was placed under the illusion that all was good. Who knows that he might not have seen her true nature yet? She might not have shown her true self last time. He frowned as he felt a sharp pain in his arm. It was as if his bone had been dislocated. They had not intended to listen to him since the beginning. He was already a target for them the moment they spotted him and saw his weakness. Bam! Bam! In the next few minutes, the quiet surroundings of the road was filled with bashing and slamming sounds. It was as if someone was hitting a wall with iron pipes or using a punching sandbag. While this was the sound of Oliver being beaten, at the moment, his state was quite serious. He was bleeding from several areas of his body, and one of his arms was twisted backwards. His legs were bent, and his smooth and fair face was filled with scars and bruises. In front of him were Shane and his twin sister, the third miss, as he laid on the marbled ground. They both had flushed expression and were panting slightly as if aroused from the scene in front of them. Oliver, on the other hand, was miserable. He tried to squint his eyes but could. Hot tears had filled his eyes, blurring his view as he looked at the clouds in the sky. The oldest of them had not moved from his spot since the beginning. He seemed uninterested and just observed from the side. He could not care less if a weakling or two died. Finish your thing, we have somewhere we need to be, so don't waste time. His cold voice served as a reminder for the two siblings as they glanced at one another. I will finish him off. Also, Shane, don't forget to remind the guards to not let weaklings like him ever step foot in here, she said as she glanced at thin air as if she could see all the hidden guards watching them. Shane just nodded as he watched excitedly his sister finish off the boy. Just as she was about to land the final blow, a chilling voice interrupted everyone. What are you doing? The voice was icy cold, seemingly devoid of any emotion at all. Everyone present felt the temperature drop by a few degrees down instantly, and they could not help but look at the source of the voice. With silvery white hair floating against the wind, cold amethyst eyes, and an emotionless expression on her face, Nadia was standing just a few meters away from them. But what shocked them the most was that none of them could sense her approaching. They all instantly recognized her, Nadia, the monstrous genius of the clan and the possible next matriarch of the clan. They all sucked in a cold breath when they saw her. She was famous for being a ruthless, cold-hearted witch. From excellent academics to near-perfect exorcism abilities, she was someone they could not hope to reach. At that moment when they were asked a question by her, none of them was able to speak a word. Finally, the oldest of them all mustered some confidence and moved forward to speak. "We were just taking care of a pest that seemed to have sneaked in this haven, haha." Even though he was older and stronger, he still felt plenty nervous at the moment. In terms of talent, Nadia far surpassed any of them. Nadia listened to them and glanced at the almost broken Oliver. She looked at him for a moment, observing his injuries. She felt nothing. For a moment, she seemed disappointed, but nothing more. Then she glanced at her siblings, and saw their faces etched with silly and nervous smiles. This was indeed the reaction she expected from them. They were after all inferior. "Leave." One word was all she said, and the faces of the siblings changed instantly. They all understood what she meant. Apart from Oliver, everyone is to scram right at this moment. Her word was like a command rather than a request. Shane and his twin sister were unsure. They did not dare offend Nadia and waited for their older brother to decide. The older brother in the question also had a flushed face. Nadia's command was an insult to him. He was older than her, but was treated as such. "Don't go too far, Nadia. I am the older dash." He could not even finish his sentence before he retreated 10 steps back quickly. His hand went to his face. A fresh cut was formed on his cheek that started leaking blood. His eyes had a trace of fear. He almost could not catch up to her movements, and she had already managed to harm him. This was the difference in their abilities. "I will leave." He quickly knew that any further confrontation would only be a disaster, so he tactfully surrendered. Chapter 15. I will leave. He quickly knew that any further confrontation would only be a disaster, so he tactfully surrendered. But before leaving, he glanced at half-dead Oliver with a fierce glint in his eyes. He had some thoughts at the moment which no one knew about. After the trio left, Nadia slowly walked up to the unconscious Oliver and crouched down, observing his bruised face. She looked at the sky and her eyes shone in a strange color, and in the next moment, all the hidden eyes suddenly left their vicinity, leaving the two alone. This was her authority. "With this, we are even," Nadia said as she took out a small glass tube carrying a green liquid and slowly poured its contents in Oliver's mouth. She watched as the injuries on his body quickly started to recover at a tremendous speed, and in a minute, he was fully back from his half-dead state from before. Cough. Cough. With a few coughs, he suddenly inhaled a large amount of air as his eyes opened wide. He quickly sat up and saw Nadia looking at him with no particular emotion. "We should be even with this," she said as she got up. "My injuries are all gone? Did she use a healing potion on me?" He wondered as he touched his face and felt his smooth skin once again indicating a full recovery. "I am saved." He felt weak from inside. He had never been beaten so badly in his 2 lifetimes. At the time he was being beaten, he felt death closely. He was scared and powerless. Suddenly a burst of rage surged from within him. He should have used his special eyes on them at that time. But upon further thought, he believed that it was a good decision that he did not use them. The entire area was surrounded by hidden guards, making note of everything. 2. He still did not have the appropriate mastery over them, and 3rd, he was beaten so fast that his brain could not process to even think of using them as a means to save himself. This all suggested that he still did not have enough experience in using his special eyes. He felt like a retard. Even after having such a great power in his hands, he still got beaten up. What was the use even after all this? He shifted his thoughts away as he saw Nadia walking away, back to her courtyard. He quickly followed after her. What? She paused and looked back, her eyes still cold as ice. Wait a moment, Nadia. Originally, I came here to give you something, so take that before you leave. Oliver also did not wanted to stay there anymore. He quickly wanted to go back to his courtyard and form a revenge plan and rest. He had decided that the trio from before were as good as dead from this moment forth. Nadia furrowed her brows. He came here to give her something? Suddenly her heart rate accelerated as she watched him take out a blue glass tube from his pocket. An elixir. A body-strengthening elixir. Her heartbeat suddenly quickened. She didn't know why, but looking at him taking out a body-strengthening elixir made her feel itchy in chest. No, it was not because of the body-strengthening elixir. She could have gotten one for herself if she had asked from the clan. It was due to something else. It was because of the fact that he had come all the way here to give this elixir to her. Why? She opened her mouth, but no words seemed to come out at the moment. She seemed to want to say something but could not speak. Why can't I speak? She asked herself. She wanted to interrogate him about how he found this precious thing. She felt as if there was a lump in her throat prohibiting her from speaking. He had come here to give her an elixir and was almost beaten to death. She knew the rarity of an elixir. Although she could easily get one from the clan, it did not mean that they were not precious. She knew that even her siblings would need to spend many resources to obtain one of the elixirs. Logically speaking, if by any chance he got his hands on an elixir, it should be obvious for him to use it on himself rather than give it to someone else. Wasn't he much weaker than her? This was so foolish. She wanted to be disappointed at his lack of intellect, but found it hard for some reason. Instead, her heart rate pace increased, and her face felt hot for some reason. She was feeling a sudden burst of unknown emotions. She did not know what was happening. Suppress. She tried to suppress the loud beating of her heart. She did not want him to accidentally hear her loud heartbeat. It would be a great blow to her pride if that happened. She was shocked once again that she could not calm herself down. This feeling, it was same as that time when she cried for the first time, and it happened in front of him at that time too. She had thought that she had grown up after that shameful incident last time and has increased her mental resistance as well. She did not understand what did he do that always made her lose herself. She would never act or behave like this whenever she was around others, but now. And why was it that it always was him? Didn't her mother also provided her with extremely precious and rare resources all the time? So why did she not feel like this for her mother? This all felt too confusing for the little genius. For someone like her, who had been learning to discern people from a glance, felt conflicted with herself. Here, take it quick, don't refuse. I am very lacking in talent and this won't work much on me, so it's better for you to use it and grow stronger. Oliver, who did not know what his expressionless sister was thinking, quickly stuffed the elixir in her hands. He did not wanted to stay in this place any longer lest some more nuisances popped up. If someone annoying really did come this time, he did not think that he could restrain himself from using the special eyes like earlier, especially now that the guards were not there either. Chapter 16. He had to plan for his next steps and search for other treasures and opportunities for her if possible. Taking her hand in his hand, he put the elixir carefully and quickly left the scene. Nadia, who saw all this, could not help but tremble a little after he left. She was shocked at herself. She actually let someone hold her hand? She, who would never let anyone be in 2-meter radius around her, actually allowed this. No, more importantly, she realized that she was not on guard at all. She had always been trained to remain on her guard at all times, even against her own family, every second of the day. But now she did not even realize when he took her hand and put the elixir on it. How can I be so careless? She mumbled to herself as she stared at the elixir in her hand. She could still feel the warmth of his hand. Unexpectedly, she did not hate this. As she returned to her courtyard, she once again looked at the bluish glowing elixir and paused. Should she have someone verify it for poison? But when she thought of his face, she expelled the idea. For some reason, she did not think that he would try to poison her. Have I gone crazy? Was it due to their connection as twins that she felt this way? What am I doing? She touched her head, her eyes slowly widening. Why am I behaving like this? It's normal that I get it tested for poison, so just why? Just why am I hesitant? She clutched her short hair in frustration. She had always been rational and always took the best decisions in every situation, yet now she was acting so stupidly. A moment ago, she was thinking that he was foolish, and now she was being even stupider than him. It frustrated her. Never in her life had she felt frustrated over something, yet she was like this now. It was all because of him. No. He surely can't poison me. He should be aware of the consequences of it. I am the best weapon the clan could polish. If something happened, then he would too. He must know this, right? Nadia thought of many reasons that this elixir was not poisoned by him, connecting her assumptions. But some part of her mind knew that she was just making up things to satisfy herself, that she did not needed to get this tested for poison. After minutes of self-contemplation, she made up her mind. If this thing really carries a poison, then so be it. I will test myself through this. If I am weak, I will die, and if not, then I will survive. It will be my fault that I took this, so it does not matter. Pop. She opened the lid of the tube and a rich and strong aroma spread in her courtyard. This elixir seems to have been preserved for a long time. This rich smell and thickness, it is definitely not the same as the ones that are made now. She quickly analyzed the elixir. It was said that the more aged an elixir was, the more potent its effects become. And the one in her hands right now was very ancient, she could tell, from the smell alone. Her amethyst eyes shone in a strange light as she looked at the elixir for a moment. It was as if she could see everything in the elixir at the moment. She was currently using the abyss eyes that she had awakened some time ago to see through the elixir. I still lack proper mastery. I should have been able to tell if it carried poison or not just by a look. I will train harder from now on. Oliver could not have expected that just a simple action of him giving her a potion could help her steel her resolve even further. It seemed to fuel her more. Gulp. 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 She drank the elixir in one go and quickly circulated the aspera in her body to ready herself for the effect. Boom. Underscore 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 underscore. Ding. Target has consumed a rare body strengthening elixir. Ding. 10x benefits obtained. Ding. Permanent 10x increase in physical strength. Oliver paused, suddenly feeling a warm current flowing throughout his body, reaching every part of him. He sensed a strong surge of vitality and energy coursing through his veins. Every cell in his body felt recharged, brimming with energy. Crack. As he stretched, he heard the sound of his bones popping, as if they were adjusting to become more compact and stronger. Clasping his fists, he felt the growing strength, making him believe he could punch through metal. Status. He muttered, having tried earlier without success to see a panel. Nevertheless, he attempted once more, curious to see if his increased strength would reveal his status. He had experimented countless times before with the system, hoping for a full body analysis, but usually to no avail. Trying again, he wondered if there was a required trigger or if such a feature did not exist at all. Deciding to give it one final attempt. And he guessed correctly as a black panel suddenly opened before his eyes. Name, Oliver Mystic. Race, human. Strength, level 3. Aspera, level 1. Charisma, level 3. Luck, level 2. A general overview of his body's status appeared before him. Carefully observing the attributes, he had no clue what determined these levels. He wondered what the maximum limit for these levels could be and was greatly shocked by his strength. Even after obtaining Cosmic Void Gaza and increasing his strength tenfold, he was still evaluated as only level 3? Then how strong would level 10 be if he already felt capable of punching through metal? Damn, this feels both motivating and depressing at the same time. Shaking his head, he only needed to wait for Nadia to quickly raise her strength, and he would naturally reap benefits. But still, my Esper talent is so pathetic. He couldn't help but feel speechless. It was quite shocking that someone born from the genes of Ophelia and the clan patriarch could be so weak. More importantly, I need to deal with them. Chapter 17. He thought to himself, already forming a revenge plan against the trio who had beaten him today. He was narrow-minded and could easily hold grudges when wronged. It was a mentality he had followed in his past life as well. He would never provoke others, but if provoked, he wouldn't hold back. Although it was somewhat cliché that first he was beaten by them and then he sought revenge, what else could he do? He was furious. If not for Nadia's healing elixir, he might have died there. He wanted to teach them a lesson for messing with him. He was almost dead. If not for Nadia's intervention, he couldn't let them go easily. Of course, he couldn't kill them under the watchful eyes of hidden guards surrounding them. It was outrageous that he wasn't assigned any guards, considering his lacking abilities, but it granted him greater freedom and privacy than any of his siblings. Picking up a rock nearby, he slowly clenched his fist, and the rock soon broke into multiple pieces under the force of his hand. Amazing. He marveled at his strength. It was superhuman. He was quite sure that no normal person could do what he had just done, not in this world or his previous one. Noticing the absence of the clan guardian, he wondered if the cat had gone to attend to some business. Well, all I can do now is wait and train some more. Just like that, a day passed. Oliver had mostly adjusted to the newfound strength in his body by now. He felt like he had finally become a superhuman by the standards of his previous world, which made him quite excited and happy. As he meditated to train his special eyes, he suddenly heard discreet footsteps. He felt as if all his senses had been significantly enhanced. His hearing had improved by leaps and bounds. He could even hear the distant sounds of leaves rustling in the wind. He quickly sensed the approaching footsteps. Folding his legs, Oliver observed from the paper door of his room, his eyes narrowing. Through the transparent wall, he could make out a distant blackish silhouette walking towards the courtyard gate. Who could it be at this time? He thought in confusion, slowly standing up and sliding open the door. And he quickly identified the visitor. It was the same second sibling who had watched him get beaten earlier. It was the same second sibling who was earlier watching him get beaten. And later competed with Nadia only to get embarrassed. But what was he doing at his place? Oliver wore his sandals and looked at his surroundings. His eyes, which would automatically filter out the world for him whenever he looked around, the cosmic void gaze, was quite powerful. He could not see any hidden guards around as usual. His courtyard was usually not monitored by the hidden guards unless there was something needed from him, so he did not feel surprised that there was an absence of hidden guards. "Why are you here?" Oliver asked. His tone was a bit cold. It was clear that he was not welcoming of this person. The second elder sibling, who saw that Oliver has completely healed, was surprised a little considering the serious wounds he suffered earlier. He proceeded to question first, ignoring Oliver's previous question, "Where is your respect?" "I am your older brother." His tone was arrogant and condescending, as if he was looking down on Oliver. Oliver cringed at the thick-skinned and shameless sibling of his. An older sibling who watched his younger brother get beaten half to death and enjoyed the whole show without lifting a finger. "From your reaction, I am assuming that you don't care about what happens to me." The second sibling was silent for a moment upon listening to his sarcastic remarks of anger. "You are right, I did not feel anything. You should know that strength is everything. We, the Mystic Purge clan, does not acknowledge the weak. If you are weak, then you are nothing," he calmly said, as if this was the most normal thing in the world. "As expected from you." Oliver did not want to argue with him anymore. He directly asked, "What do you want from me?" The second brother of his paused and looked at Oliver's handsome face for a bit. Only now did he realize that his features were terrifyingly similar to Nadia. Earlier, he was too busy to look at his face, and only now he realized this. Looking at his face, the image of Nadia's face converged in his mind as he suddenly recalled the earlier incident where he experienced shame. His face turned ugly as he once again questioned in a superior tone. "Why are your injuries healed? It should have taken at least a week for your bones and skin to even start recovering." He abruptly stopped in the middle as he thought of something bizarre. His eyes widened at his own though, as he asked in an impatient tone. "Don't tell me, did Nadia use a healing elixir on a waste like you? It can't be that, there's no way that girl would ever dash." Oliver looked at his supposed elder brother and felt amused by his expressions. Indeed, it was quite hard to accept the reality that the cold and ruthless Nadia had actually used an elixir on a talentless bastard. If this news were to spread, everyone in the clan would feel shocked, but more so, his mother and father would immediately isolate Nadia from everyone. Ophelia, his dangerous mother, wanted to cultivate Nadia into a perfect and superior existence. To her, emotions were an obstacle that would only get in the way of her daughter's path to greatness. Oliver was very sure that if this brat snitched on them, then his mother would do everything to kill Nadia's emotions, and it may be as worse as torturing and killing him in front of her. He shivered a bit as he realized the seriousness. He really cannot allow this fake brother of his to leave easily now. "Well, I had a healing elixir with me that I used." Even though he knew it was quite useless to lie in front of this guy, he still said a few words. And as he had expected, the second brother flew into rage. Chapter 18. And as expected, the second brother was immediately furious as he said, "Do you take me for a fool? Are you saying that a pathetic waste like you can own an elixir? I don't think the clan would waste any resources on you. It is up to you whether to believe it or not." Oliver did not say any more. "You dash bastard, tell me, what is your relationship with Nida, and why did she stop us last time? I expect honest answers. If you dare to play games, then expect to lose a limb or two." He threatened. It was quite clear that he wanted to know why Nadia interfered last time. Even though they were twin siblings by blood, it did not mean anything in the clan. Only strength was the norm. If possible, he wanted to gain an advantage over Nadia, and he believed that Olive may know something about it. Why else would she interfere? Oliver must have something important. "Do you think you are capable enough to make me say it?" Oliver chuckled, a hint of sarcasm evident in his words. He said, "A coward older brother who ran away hiding his tail between his legs when being faced with his talented little sister. You still have the guts?" Ha ha ha. Oliver naturally had no intentions to reveal anything to this unimportant character at all. Although it was quite true that he might as well ran away cowardly when facing the terrifying Nadia, but he did not have to say it. When it came to provoking others, he knew a lot. The characters of the novels were all read by him once, and he knew what triggered them the most as well. He knew that the children from the Mystic Purge clan despised being looked down upon by someone weaker than them the most. So he did just that to provoke this second brother, and the results were quite good, as well as he saw veins popping on his forehead. "Just because I did not face Nadia, a weakling like you thinks that he can talk to me? It seems that I was quite lenient last time. Do you believe that she will come to your rescue here?" The second brother coldly sneered. "She is nicknamed as the Dark Seedling. Blood and familial bond means nothing to her. Today, I will teach you what true strength means." He roared and directly attacked Oliver. He roared as he ended the sentence, and threw a punch at Oliver. The speed of the punch was extraordinary, and the impact it could generate was enough to even break a tough metal boulder. However, to Oliver, the punch seemed to slow down considerably. Not to mention the permanent boost he received in his strength last time that his senses were amplified, but he was also the bearer of the upgraded version of one of the 4 mythical eyes. The punch was as slow as a sloth inching its way across a branch. Each instance felt agonizingly drawn out and easily anticipated by his heightened senses. His lips curled into a small smirk as he had achieved what he intended. He wanted this brother of his to admit that Nadia was the cold and ruthless girl they imagined her to be. He did not even wanted to leave a shred of doubt in their minds. By angering him through embarrassing provocations, he did just that. Bang! The fist collided, but the result was not what the second brother had been expecting. He was initially thinking that his punch would directly dislocate Oliver's shoulders and might even break his arm. But what happened was that his punch was caught by Oliver's small white hand. The second brother's eyes widened in disbelief as he saw what was happening in front of him. An impossible scene was happening at the moment. Just the last time when he saw Oliver getting beaten brutally, he could clearly tell that Oliver was definitely not this strong. From the way just light punches and kicks from his little siblings directly injured Oliver, it was bizarre that his punch, which was at least 5 times stronger than their punches, was stopped without any issue. He had seen Oliver's skin and bones getting bruised last time, so he was definitely not this robust and tough. So how did he become like this in just a single day? The second brother immediately retracted his fist. What? At the moment, he felt as if his fist had been caught in an iron grip. No matter how much force he applied, he could not retract his fist back from Oliver's hand. Looking at the unshakable jade white hand in front of him, his heart suddenly palpitated. A strong uneasiness was starting to spread in his chest as the realization dawned upon him that things were not simple anymore. "Dear second brother." Oliver's soft voice sounded, which drew his attention for a moment as he looked up at his face where their eyes met. What he saw in Oliver's eyes at the moment was something terrifying. It was an abyss. A swirling abyss of darkness and death, an endless void devoid of light or hope, emitting a palpable aura of dread and despair. In those eyes, he saw his deepest fears getting magnified 1,000-fold. His mind was being consumed by an overwhelming sense of doom. It was as if he was staring into the abyss itself, and it was staring back, ready to consume him whole, opening its black, cosmic maw. This was all happening because Oliver had used the third ability of his special eyes, enshrouding of death. UGK. Bleg. The second brother puked uncontrollably as tears started flooding his eyes, but even then he was unable to divert his eyes from Oliver's. He kept puking uncontrollably. He almost felt like throwing his guts out at the moment. His heart stirred and he felt it was going to stop at any moment. Death had come to his door. He slowly lost all his will. He was going to die. Oliver stopped at the moment and used his other hand to punch the other party's stomach, and in the next instance, the second brother fainted almost immediately. He knew that if he did not punch him, the other party won't be able to stop looking at his eyes, especially if the other person's mental resistance was not too strong. So he delivered a physical stimulus. Given his turbulent strength, he directly knocked out his so-called second brother. That should be enough. Chapter 19. That should be enough. He mumbled as he lightly kicked the unconscious body of the second brother of his. Although he felt that he has successfully diverted the attention from Nadia, but he still delivered a final blow just to seal this ordeal. He knew that he has fully conquered the second brother's mind with fear. He was quite sure that in the future, this brother of his won't even dare to appear in front of him, much less talk about him to anyone. The impact and fear he instilled was too strong. Well, Oliver would need to deliver him back to his courtyard first. Underscore 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 underscore. After somehow finishing the delivery, he finally returned back to his courtyard and saw Zippy strolling near the gate as if guarding the entrance. Looks like the clan guardian finished the business she left for. He came to his room and stopped behind the door as he thought about the previous day's events. Earlier he could clearly see the trajectory of the second brother's punch in slow motion, but when he was getting beaten by them, he was having trouble. He realized that it must be due to the fact that the special eyes were too powerful for his weak body to adjust to. His nervous system has also been boosted in strength when he received the permanent strength boost last time. This probably allowed the special eyes to deliver the signals to his brain properly, and also the reason he could see the fast punch in slow motion. He felt that even now, there was a great margin that he could work on and improve. If he had such strength earlier when facing the third brother and sister, he might have been able to reduce his injuries significantly. Although he had the excuse that his Aspera talent was too pathetic, he should have focused on training physically then. He could not always wait for his target to make a breakthrough or achievement, he needs to train his body as well. He shivered as he realized that he might get left behind if he did not train just as much as the main characters. If that happens, his body might not be able to keep up with all the monstrous abilities that he might get in the future. Not to mention monstrous abilities, he would be receiving a tenfold version of those powers. If the vessel itself was weak, then naturally it would break. He doubted that anything could save him then. He might even need to train harder than those main characters in the novels in the future if he wanted to be ready to receive great power. I need to train hard, he muttered as his eyes turned serious. Yawn. Oliver was also feeling a little tired after all the drama he has been facing since the last few days. I am tired. He quickly went to his bed and slept for the rest of night, not waking until afternoon next day. He was going to train harder to not die out of overdose of power. Underscore 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 underscore. In the second brother's courtyard, a group of people were gathered outside his room. They all shared similar expressions of confusion, tension, and impatience. They were some of the elders of the Mystic Purge clan. In the clan, there were elders who favored one sibling over the others and provided them with preferential treatment sometimes. These elders were the caretakers of the second son and daughter of the clan head. After receiving news from the guards that the second young master was found unconscious in his room by a maid, they quickly apprehended her and called for an audience. "You, servant, tell us what happened to him," questioned one of the elder sternly. The atmosphere was thick with bloodlust and pressure. The young maid trembled, her eyes wide with fear as she stammered, "Please, I don't know anything. I was simply going about my duties, serving tea to the young master, when I found him unconscious on the floor. I shook him, but he didn't respond, so I immediately called for the guards. Please believe me." Her voice trailed off in sobs, tears streaming down her cheeks. The maid explained everything that she had witnessed truthfully. The elders also noticed this. They were experienced and skilled enough to tell from her body language that she was not lying and was feeling genuine fear from them. And their common sense also told them that all the servants and guards selected to work in the Mystic Purge clan were trained rigorously. Loyalty was ingrained into their brains the moment they stepped foot into the boundaries of the clan. It was impossible for any servant to even bear thoughts like this. So they just ignored her and discussed among themselves. What happened to him suddenly? I met him just a few days ago, and he was looking absolutely fine. Wait for some time, the medics are evaluating his condition. We will know shortly. They waited for a few more minutes in silence, before being called inside by the doctors. He is awake but well, his condition is a bit strange. For some reason, he won't speak at all and would keep on shrieking from time to time. His mental condition looks worse, as if someone had attacked his brain. The medic gave his opinion. For now, I have given him a few doses of mind-calming medicine. If this persists, then we will have to think of something else. How can this happen so suddenly? It doesn't make sense. An elder could not help but shout. Calm down, it's highly unlikely that a high-ranking mind demon has infiltrated the clan. Given the barrier, it seems almost impossible. But then, what other reasonable explanation could there be? Another elder commented as she fell into thought. A demon? That's absurd. Are you out of your mind? The last elder, who had been quiet since the beginning and had a profound aura, finally spoke. We cannot make bold assumptions without any proof. This is a serious matter. A direct lineage member was attacked as such. According to the hidden guards, he left the courtyard ordering them to stay back and to not follow him, which is strange. The next thing they know is that he suddenly appeared back in his room in that state. His words made sense to everyone. I further asked for a report on his previous day's actions and found something weird. Chapter 20. What did you find peculiar, Elder? The others questioned. He frowned and said, 2 days ago, He was with the third pair of siblings, and they met the fourth son on their way. They got into a fight, and naturally, as you all are aware, the fourth son is a waste, so they did him quite the number. But in the middle of the fight, young Miss Nida intervened. What? Unbelievable. Impossible. The other two expressed surprise. Nadia. The most likely future clan head. Not even the elders dared to be disrespectful to her, even though they were much above her in standing and power. They could, but none of them wanted to be on her bad side. She was called the Dark Seedling because of her deadly talent. Usually, every child born to the clan's direct lineage, to Mistress Ophelia, was highly talented. But Oliver was an exception. He was born just a few weeks after Nadia and was deemed utter trash. He had one of the worst inherent talents, truly not worthy of their clan name. However, they suddenly felt something odd. Nadia, who was born just before him, was born with extreme talent, and he was born lacking. It was as if she had sucked all of his talents and abilities while they were in the womb of their mother. This led everyone to make rumors that she was a dark seedling who stole her twins' talents, like a demoness. Of course, no one dared to say such a thing openly. Why would Miss Nadia? One of the elders couldn't help but be curious. This is something I am not sure about. Apparently she ordered the guards to leave the scene immediately after she made him leave in a somewhat shameful method. Sir, are you suggesting that the second young master sought revenge on her later, resulting in this? Did Miss Nadia really do that? No way, but it does make sense. Miss Nadia is capable of such actions, she doesn't care about anyone. Another elder said in a half-complaining, half-helpless tone. He was really helpless. He could not say anything to Nadia after all. She had the direct backing of the clan head and Ophelia the Great Witch. And not to mention, she was a growing monster. Every week, she would progress significantly. Anyone sane won't offend her, considering she had a great future ahead. Why would the second young master act so recklessly? It's hard to believe he didn't consider the consequences. He's impulsive, but not foolish. And why was the fourth son even there in the first place? If I recall correctly, he's not permitted to reside in the central area. This all seems rather perplexing. The elders bickered among themselves for some time. At this moment, the senior-most of them, the one with a profound aura from earlier, spoke, making them all silent. It is as you all know, we cannot come to any conclusions like this. We have to get our answers from young master himself. He paused, looking at all the elders waiting for him. Retrieve a healing elixir from the clan resource center. Use my name, I have a few elixirs left. He said calmly, shocking all the ones present. The medics had eyes filled with envy. Getting even a single elixir was terrifyingly hard, but the senior elder had a few that he could spare to use. This showed how influential and powerful the senior elder was. I'll fetch it immediately. The junior elder left directly. As long as they used a healing elixir, it was only a matter of time before they got to know everything. Underscore 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 underscore. In just about 5 minutes, the elder who had gone to fetch the elixir returned. He was carrying along a bottle containing a pale green liquid with a lot of sparkles in it. Just looking at it made one want to have a sip of it. After all, it looked delectable and smelled good. Feed it to him. The senior elder said as he glanced at the second young master, who was tugging his hair so hard that they might just get uprooted. His eyes were widened and his pupils were dotted as a stream of tears kept going down. Young master, please open your mouth. The doctor quickly assisted, placing their hands on his chin. They gently pried open his sealed mouth, while the nurses held him. Drip. 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 Slowly the contents of the potent healing elixir were delivered in his mouth as everyone watched with patience as the tube-carrying elixir slowly emptied. The doctors and other backed away after finishing the deed, allowing the young master to recover. They observed slowly as his eyes slowly started to relax, his trembling hands also calmed down as he let go of his iron grip on his hair. With shallow breaths, he fell back onto his bed. It was as if all strength had left his body. He could not and did not want to get up at all. "Young master, are you back?" the elder asked in a calm tone as he saw their young master's body jolt at being suddenly called out. Where am I? What happened?" he asked, unsure of what was even happening. He opened his eyes, and all he could feel his lack of strength and mental exhaustion. He tried to remember what had happened, but all he could feel was fog in his memories. His brain hurt a lot as he tried to recall what happened. Hiss! He hissed in pain as he felt a black wall blocking his access to the events that transpired the previous week. Every time he tried to access the black wall in his memories, he would receive a sharp pain. What happened? Why are elders gathered in my courtyard? He puzzlingly questioned as he did not understand this situation, but looking at the grave expression on their faces, he devised that something was wrong. It seems he does not remember what has happened.